You guys, today is such a special episode because I don't have one guest, but I have two. I have Ashley and Jenna, the duo behind Eff Perfect. They are two proud, self-proclaimed recovering perfectionists on a mission to inspire and empower women to love themselves wholeheartedly, regardless of what their imperfections are. Ashley is an eating psychology coach, yoga instructor, and Jenna is a psychotherapist and coach. And they're here to support the perfectionists, procrastinators, people pleasers, conflict avoiders, approval junkies, and worthiness seekers. Raise your hand if that is you. And as they like to say, let's raise those middle fingers up. It's time to embrace our imperfections once and for all. I'm so excited to have them on the show today. Welcome to the Badass Manifester podcast, keeping you inspired with high vibe content, bringing you the best manifestation and mindset tools, teachings, interviews, and answering questions to help empower you to get out of your own way and take massive action to make magic your everyday normal. I'm your host, Ashley Gordon, spiritual life and manifestation coach, helping women and spiritual entrepreneurs manifest more impact, influence, and income. It is my purpose and pleasure to help you wake up to the badass creator that you are. Let's do this. Ashley and Jenna, welcome to the Badass Manifester podcast.
Hey.
We are so excited to be here. Oh my God.
Seriously.
Yeah, so excited you're both here. This is a really important conversation we're going to have today because I know from, the work that I do, and I was fortunate enough to be on their podcast, which is called Middle Finger to Perfection. There are people, women, men, everyone that struggle with feeling like everything has to be perfect all the time. And I'm just really excited to have this conversation with you guys today. So, yay.
Thank you so much for shining a light on this topic, for coming on our show and letting us have this conversation here as well. We're so grateful.
I'm so grateful too. So let's start with who you guys are, how you created this beautiful brand called Eff Perfect, and just share a little bit about your journey of, how you guys met and what led you to create this brand.
Yeah, so Jenna and I met, I think it was a year and a half ago. I had reached out to her and another girl who were doing a podcast. And I wanted to be a guest on their show, and they invited me on, and I felt like when I chatted with Jenna, I just felt like such kindred spirits. I just knew that I wanted, to know her better. I wanted to work with her in some way. I wanted the relationship to continue. I just knew it had to happen. So when we were done recording the podcast, I think Jenna, maybe you asked do you want to be accountability partners? I want to somehow keep each other accountable and keep this relationship going. And we did. And then literally from our weekly conversations, we, Eff Perfect was born. We are definitely two, fellow recovering perfectionists and, who are really, really passionate about, we're not alone. We want to spread the message that, perfectionism or perfect is an effing myth. And so we just felt so compelled to create a community around this message. And yeah, kind of the rest is history, right, Jenna?
Yeah. I think one thing that we ended up connecting over pretty quickly was how hard we were on ourselves and the unreasonable standards that we had for ourselves, our lives, our work, just how rigid and over-controlled we could be, comparing ourselves to other people and setting crazy standards. And from that, we were just okay, well, clearly, as you said, Ash, we're not alone. The two of us exist. There have to be more of us in the world. And we have something to say about this and about letting go of this way of, just keeping ourselves down and being so hard on ourselves. So yeah, that's why we're so committed to this mission and spreading this message and bringing it into the world in any way that we can.
Wow. It's so, so awesome. I mean, I can completely relate to that too. Like, being unreasonably hard, like having those unreasonable standards on ourselves. I think that that's something that not only entrepreneurs deal with, but like everyone. Do you feel,
Yes.
I'm so glad that like you guys found each other to like bring this message into the world. I mean, the universe is so amazing like that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you guys met on the internet. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I know. I feel like literally, yeah, the universe was completely involved in that. Like, and just dropped Jenna into my lap. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Into
And
my
so
little
Ashley,
universe. Yeah.
you're a coach as well. What specifically do you do?
So I am an eating psychology coach. I work with women who struggle with a relationship with food and body. It goes way beyond diet and exercise. And we really dive into like your relationship with food, your beliefs around food and body, expectations, and that sort of thing. And I'm also a yoga instructor. So like I bring in a lot of like breathing techniques and things like that with my clients. It's such powerful work, and I've been practicing it personally myself for so many years because I struggled with my relationship with food and body. I still do. So it's really awesome to work with women and helping them really like set themselves free from all these crazy like weight and body and food standards. It's really, really rewarding work.
Wow, that's amazing. And it ties in so perfectly with like what you guys are creating too, because there's so many levels of perfectionism,
Oh yeah. I mean, just especially when it comes to food and body. I mean, the diet culture is everywhere. I feel like it's nearly impossible to escape. And like coming into this like new year and, people are going to start going on their diets. It's just like we're inundated with this messaging. So yeah, I'm here to like combat that.
You're here to like poke like a hole in the balloon and deflate the balloon and be like, okay, we can just be ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And Jenna, what about you? Like tell the tribe what you do too.
Yeah, so I'm a psychotherapist and coach, a holistic health coach, and my focus is I want to ignite a revolution of self-love. I am all about self-love. I think it is the beginning and the end of all love. Like it is the way to learn to truly love ourselves and allow ourselves to be loved back by others. So really, I work with clients on issues around worthiness. That's a big part of the work that my clients and I do together, and just learning to accept the fundamental truth that we are inherently worthy. We do not have to do anything or be anything to earn our worth. And, finding ways to accept that belief, to believe in it, to live it out in our lives, and to treat ourselves as the inherently worthy, people, humans that we are. That's what I'm here for. And that's what I want to spread in the world in my work with clients.
Wow. I have the biggest smile on my face.
So do I. Like,
I really do. It's just so, like, I could cry. Like, it's just so amazing to be connected with powerful women who are living in their mission and like will do whatever it takes to spread their mission into the world. And like I feel as though perfectionism gets in the way of a lot of other people's missions, right?
Oh,
and like
100%.
Yeah, it did for me for a long time too. Like putting yourself out there it's not always easy,
No. And, perfectionism, for all the bad rap that we give it really is trying to keep us safe. And so a lot of the time it goes too far and puts us in that procrastination phase where we're like, we can't take any steps until it's perfect. We can't put it out there until it's exactly right. So we never put it out there. We never step out. We never allow ourselves to be seen. We never step into that mission. And we think that we're protecting ourselves and like waiting until the right time, but really we're missing out on all the goodness that's available right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think for me too, like, it was like such a fear of being criticized, like, especially in my work, like putting things out there. Like if I, put something out there that I was really passionate about, but was like maybe a little bit like on the edge, I was always scared, like, oh, are people going to judge me? Are people going to criticize me? I want people to like me, like that kind of thing too. So that was something that's come up for me a lot.
Yes, I can totally second that and third that, like everything. Like, and if you're listening right now and you're like, this is me. I know that I have something to put out there. I know I want to do something, but you're just so afraid. Like, I think what would you say the first step is to overcoming that?
Jenna, you want to take that one? Or you want me to?
I mean, yeah, I think the first step is like acknowledging it, really. And like being able to say to yourself, like, oh, I'm holding myself back. Like, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. Like, I might think that I'm waiting for the right time or the right moment or until, I have exactly the right thing to say, but I'm actually holding myself back because I'm scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, sorry, Jenna, did you want to go?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, for me now, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of sad, but true, but like people are going to like judge you no matter what, like in a good way or a bad way. So sometimes like if I just tell myself like people are going to like judge what you put out there no matter what, like whether it's positive or negative, like just put it out there, Ash. Like it's got, as long as it's you, it's authentic, it's truthful, it's honest, like do it, because yeah, I think people are going to have an opinion about it or like have something to say about it no matter what.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And for me, that was so freeing. Like not everyone's going to like me and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the kryptonite to the people pleasers among us. But yes, it is okay.
Right. And Ashley, like you're being judged no matter what. So, and it has nothing to do with you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And is that not like one of the hardest things to like really wrap your mind around?
I know.
But
and if you're listening and you're like, I don't fully understand what that means, that's okay. Because, why don't you guys explain what that means?
Well, I mean, the way that I think about it is, the way that people react to us is usually a projection of what's going on for them. And a combination of like their own beliefs and fears. And it's less about who we actually are. Like most of the time when we have really strong reactions to things outside of ourselves, it's more a reflection of what's going on inside than it is a reflection of that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so easy, is it not, you guys, to like take those things personally and like make it all about you? Like Ash, I was just listening to another podcast episode of yours and you were talking about like, what are you making that mean? And I think oftentimes we're like making it mean something about us, and sometimes it's a negative thing about us. So yeah.
Well, here's the tricky part is like how I see it is like, it has nothing to do with us. And whatever like we also believe about ourselves is what we manifest outside of ourselves. So it's like somehow it has nothing to do with us and everything to do with us at the same time.
Yeah, that's true.
That just sounds like a mind. I can curse. This is my podcast. Oh, no. Yeah, it is my podcast.
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness. See, that's like perfectionism sneaking up in a small moment of like, wait, should I curse? Do I sound bad if I say fuck? Oh my God. It sneaks up on you.
It does.
So I have a question for you both. Do you feel like perfectionism is something that you can actually recover from?
Oh, that is such a good question. For me, at this point in my life, I feel like it is a constant, intentional practice. Like a lot of my perfectionism runs really, really deep, and the behaviors are less and less, but it's still something I have to be incredibly intentional about. So hand raised, I have not recovered, but I am on the path to that, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that for sure. What do you think, Jenna?
I think it is, so the way that I think about perfectionism is it's a way of approaching ourselves in the world. It's a way of thinking. It's not like a set of discrete beliefs, but it's kind of a way of thinking and behaving. So in that sense, it's pretty hard to be recovered from it. But I think you can be recovering and in recovery, like it's never going to be something that you just like look in the rearview mirror and you can barely see it anymore. But it is something that you can maintain an awareness of and consciously choose to exclude from your life. But I think it does take awareness, like Ashley said, an intention and conscious choice.
Yeah, it's definitely a practice. Definitely. Yeah. It's like a practice of being aware of what you're allowing yourself to believe and think, and the actions that you take. That's how I like internalize it, and like that's how I operate too.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm like constantly reaching out to Jenna, and I'm like, oh, this behavior is popping back up for me again. And like, I thought I was like you had said, Ash, like recovered and I didn't have to worry about this anymore. But perfectionism is sneaky.
Yeah, she's a sneaky bitch, that one.
She's a sneaky bitch. But and like, I love what you said before about like protection too, because it's somehow, see, this is a message that I want everyone to know all the time, is like the things that we don't like about ourselves, like the perfectionist maybe that you don't like about yourself, or this like feeling of not being good enough, or this feeling of not being worthy enough, right? Like all those feelings are actually serving you to some degree. Yeah. And so it's like getting to how it's serving you. And I feel like if for you, Ash, like how that behavior is popping up and serving you, like what it's protecting you from, then it's easier to kind of let go of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think that's a good tool, like for people that are listening, just to kind of ask yourself, like how is this behavior serving me? Because I feel like right off the bat, people are like, oh, it's not serving me. It doesn't serve me to like, eat like a whole bag of potato chips, or it doesn't serve me to like, I don't know that, you know what I mean? Like then I won't have a perfect body, or then I won't have a perfect diet, or like, right. But somehow it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Totally.
Yeah. Being open to seeing the hidden positives of something that we think is a negative.
Ooh, I love that.
I know. I'm constantly asking myself, like, what's the hidden lesson? Like, what's the hidden message here? Like, what am I supposed to be learning from this? I feel like that's something that's always, coming up for me for sure. Because as much as it is hard to see, like, there is a lesson, there is a message, like, within the bullshit, within the perfectionism, within, like, the negative behaviors. Like, yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I know, like, you guys talk to a lot of people on your podcast and in your coaching sessions. What would you say is like the number one thing you hear people struggle with as far as perfectionism?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ash. I know for me with my clients, a lot of like fear-based procrastination with making changes around food and body is definitely something that comes up a lot. And also like worthiness seeking, for sure. Like seeking worthiness outside of ourselves through productivity, through expectations, all kinds of things. But those are two definite ones that come up in my practice and for myself as well. What about you, Jenna?
Yeah, I think comparison is a huge one. Yes. Especially in the age of social media, like in your hand at any time are endless opportunities to compare yourself with your friends, people you went to high school with, celebrities, random Instagram influencers. Like,
Yeah.
there's just so many opportunities to see visually, how am I stacking up against people who are my peers or people who I admire. And, we always end up, falling short of where we think we should be. So I think that's a huge one that, most of us go through.
I got my hand raised on that one, Jenna, for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I had someone say during a session, like she was confessing that she was in comparison, and she was like, like I should be like looking at other people and not comparing myself to what I don't have compared to them, but like using that as a tool to manifest, like saying like, I like what you're doing, and like, I want to create that for myself. Not, oh, I'm not good enough, but like, oh, I'm going to create that for myself. I was like, whoa, that's a whole podcast episode. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, right? Like,
yeah.
A whole other mind shift.
And it can be inspirational instead of like demotivating or depressing or making you feel less than.
I love that. Totally. And I hope if you're listening to this, you're getting to like, there's a theme that I'm hearing and that I'm feeling is that, you're not alone,
So not alone. And that's like one of the hugest reasons why Jenna and I wanted to create this community, so we could all lean on each other and like know that we're not alone. And like, we're all in this together. We're all practicing this together. Like, yeah. And like, here's some stories, some inspiration, some tools to use along the way.
Yeah, totally. So I think holiday time is such a huge like trigger for so many people. Like, is it possible, especially as perfectionists, to step away from the pressure of giving the perfect gift and receiving and just being more present and feeling abundant, specifically during the holiday season? Like, how do you guys do that?
Well, I honestly, didn't always think that this was possible, Ash. I was really skeptical, because I put so much pressure on myself during the holiday season. I come from a family of, amazing party throwers and amazing gift givers. So I'm always like, damn it, how am I going to, live up to these, amazing gifts? And I was constantly, putting myself down for not having enough money or not getting the perfect gift or bringing the perfect dish. I think now for me, one of the most important things, prioritizing what is most important. Is it getting the perfect gift, or is it bringing the perfect dish? But you know what, Ashley, it doesn't have to be all of the things. We expect ourselves to do everything, be everything to everyone, especially during this crazy time of year. So I know that's a huge one for me.
I think also, for me, I have learned that it's more valuable to focus on the feeling, how I want to feel, either when I'm giving a gift or when I'm receiving it or when I'm attending an event or with my family or, on the holidays, at the meal. How do I want to feel? And what are the things I can do to feel abundant? Because abundance doesn't come from finding the perfect gift or giving the perfect gift or having it wrapped the perfect way. That is not how we create the feeling of abundance. So what are the things that make me feel abundant, that make me feel connected to my loved ones, that make me feel the spirit of celebration and joy of the holidays? And it could be the smallest, weirdest things, but it's about finding what are your touchstones for abundance and joy and connection, and focusing on those instead of what Cyber Monday sale you need to attend to get the perfect gift for your sister. That's not where abundance and connection thrive.
I love that. Focusing more on connection. That is so powerful. And also, like, as you guys were answering and as I was reflecting, it's just like thinking, because this shows up for me, like I have to give the perfect gift and I like hope that it's good enough. Like that's always like what comes up is like, I hope that this is good enough. And I think that like, it's like, okay, where are you operating from? Am I operating from a place of lack
Yeah,
or am I operating from that place of connection, which makes such a difference? Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, huge. And I love the word like intentional, just like being intentional as much as you possibly can. Like set an intention before you walk into that party, like set an intention before you go out shopping, like, to not put your pressure on yourself to like make sure you like wear the perfect dress and like have like you're on point and just all that stuff that we those expectations
we put on ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because your worth doesn't hinge on the gift that you give, and nor does your relationship with that person hinge on that gift. And if it does, like you don't need that relationship. You know what I mean? Like we have to focus
what
on.
if it's your mother-in-law?
Good question. There's a lot we could get into there. But
You still need the relationship, but you're right. It doesn't. Your relationship doesn't. What'd you just say? It was so good. Your relationship
it
doesn't
doesn't
hinge.
hinge on that one gift.
Yeah.
And it is about the intention behind the gift and the thought and the feeling and the care. Like that comes across too.
Yeah. It really does. It really does.
And
Thoughtfulness is really important for sure.
Yeah. And I think that even if you can't like afford to buy a gift, how can you make an abundant experience together? What's going to make you feel abundant in love? What's going to make you feel abundant in gratitude, connection, celebration, all of those things that are so amazing this time of year? And don't like cut yourself short, So, yeah.
I feel like something that cuts people short of those feelings a lot of the time is assuming that they already know how like someone's going to react, or they already know how that holiday party is going to be, or they already know how it's going to be because it's been that way every single year. And so it's like if we can get out of that cycle,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and to recognize that like how we behave impacts how things turn out. So like if we brought a different energy to that holiday party and we brought a different intention, it might go differently.
Yes. Oh my God. Like instead of wearing your favorite dress, like wear your favorite energy.
Ooh, yes.
What energy are you bringing to your holiday party this year?
Yeah, is it stress and like lack and worrying that your gift won't be good enough and then your relationship with that person will be ruined? Or is it like joy and connection and abundance and worthiness and all the good things?
Oh my God, that's so good. I'm totally doing that. And it's also so funny because like we take it all the way. Like you just said, like, is it because like if you give the wrong gift then that person's not gonna like you anymore? And then if that person doesn't like you anymore, then you're not lovable. And if you're not lovable, then you're not gonna be loved. And if you're not loved, then you're gonna die.
Yes.
That's so true. Yes. Oh, the rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're so like that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And also like many perfectionists are also like self-proclaimed control freaks, which definitely does not work with manifestation. How do you manage your control freak tendencies? Give us your best tools especially during the holiday, and just, how do you let things flow?
Jenna?
Yeah.
I can go if you want to go. I don't care.
Well, I think, based on what we were just saying, like letting go of the need for things to go exactly in a certain way, like that every little step that we have in our mind that we've thought through a million times of how it's going to go, like it might not go that exact way. And that might be okay because it might go better.
Yeah.
Or just different. Like we don't have to know every step ahead of time to be safe or to be loved or enough or for things to be okay. Like it might look a little different than what we have in our mind, and that might be okay or even better than what we were hoping for.
Wow. Yeah.
And
go ahead.
For me, I have always been like a huge journaler, and so I really ramp up my journaling practice this time of year to just help me like I guess surrender, Ash, is like one word that I hear you use a lot too, which is like so hard sometimes, but like really unraveling the places where I'm trying to like grip and grasp and like have control. And like really just sifting through my mindset around those things and like what's the deal here, can really help me kind of step out of those control freak tendencies, that's for sure.
Yeah, just reflecting on it in your journal. And like I wish more people journal. I wish people journaled more, you know?
Yeah.
It's a great practice.
It's like
of getting out.
Yeah, it's like it's been my therapy since I was like 14 years old. I don't even know what kind of person I would be, you guys, like if I didn't have my journal. So yeah, it's been amazing. And I think, the other one too that's huge for, I think I can speak for both Jenna and I, is like one thing that sounds so simple but is so profound is like getting out of our head where all those like stories are being created and formed, and like getting into our heart and our body, checking in, and just like even recognizing that we have a body, because we can get so like just locked up in the mind. So like really incorporating some breathing techniques, Ash, which I know you're a yoga teacher and you probably practice all those all the time too, but it sounds so simple, but like that is a huge practice for, I think, both of us, right, Jenna?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
You gotta get out of your head, because yes, that's where all the stories live. That's where all the like thought loops live. And if we can just be a little bit more present and a little more grounded in our bodies and our hearts, it's easier to avoid getting sucked down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, totally. And I love that, like you said, like, remember that you have a body. It's so true. It's so true. We forget that we have this beautiful vehicle that is like, always there for us. And I think for me, also, it's really important to stay physically connected and grounded just by taking a yoga class or carving out time for myself to not only just breathe, but even just move my body. Like you said, like it's so valuable. So valuable.
Like getting out of that like crazy, like frenetic energy,
Yeah.
like I think is really, that's really important.
I think if we want to live like in that beautiful state of being and like feeling connected and feeling love and feeling joy, like you have to be a stand for your own. You know what I mean? Like you have to be a stand for yourself. And I think like getting out of that pleasing energy and really pleasing yourself is such an important like practice of it too.
Yes. I mean, we haven't even talked about the B word, boundaries, like, because like if we don't set those boundaries and like step away from people pleasing, like people are going to walk all over that shit, and not intentionally, it's just like we have that, like, that kind of wall down or that gate open or whatever. And it's easy for that to happen for sure.
Yeah. And you know what I realized with working with some people too is, and just talking to people and, being, out there is like, sometimes people don't even realize that they're people pleasing.
No. Oh my God. It's so ingrained, I think, especially for women in the way that we're socialized in this society. Like we don't even see it. It's just in the unwritten code of how we're supposed to behave. And until we recognize it, we don't have an opportunity to change it. So yeah, I think like building our awareness of what actually is people pleasing and seeing it happen in real time is a huge opportunity toward changing it.
Yes. Yeah. And I want to ask you guys that too, but I have another question. So with manifesting, there's always this like, people want to make sure that they're doing it right, or they feel like they're, not sure, they're uncertain. And there is that level of uncertainty when you're manifesting. And there's uncertainty with all of life, right? Like there's just always that level of uncertainty. And I know perfectionists and people in general, like they struggle with feeling uncertain. So how do you handle the uncertainty? Like what are your top, I would say like 3 tips of like how to handle uncertainty and step into trust as a perfectionist?
So for me, it is literally just reminding myself on the daily, the universe is supporting my highest good. Like reminding myself that even if things like unexpected things pop up or, things turn out differently than how I expected, like that the universe is always supporting my highest good. It's always working for me, like not against me. Yeah. That's a huge one for me. And it sounds so simple, but it is so profound and has helped me change my mindset around things so many times. And I think that kind of goes back to like asking myself, like, if it doesn't go, as expected, like, what's the lesson? What am I learning here?
Yeah. And I think this is kind of a twofer, but, really coming to terms with the fact that most of this life is outside of our control. Mm-hmm. Like so much. There is so precious little in this world that we can control. And really recognizing that. And then also, like, along with that, looking at the why behind our desire to control. Mm. Do you know, like, what are we really afraid of? Like, what is the core fear? Like how you were saying earlier, Ash, like if I'm not loved, then I'm not lovable. And if I'm not lovable, I'm going to die. Like, what is the core fear that we're trying to control our way out of? Because if we have an awareness of what that is, then that fear has much less power over us than when it just exists in the dark outside of our awareness.
Mm. Wow, you guys are amazing. Thank you. That's so good. Yeah, I think for me, even just like what Ashley said, also about like reminding that the universe is always guiding you. And the first thing I thought of, and that's the lesson that I've been learning this past couple of weeks, is just learning to let go.
Yeah.
I'm really, really practicing. It's a practice, by the way, everyone. Just letting go. People are like, well, how do you let go? It's a moment by moment practice.
Yeah, it really is. And we have like so many expectations, like especially this time of year, to like do and be it all. I think like, it just becomes harder and harder, as women, but it's so important that we like pump the brakes and like know that every moment we have a choice, like we have an empowered choice that we can make. And so, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, I forgot to ask you this. What makes you both badass manifestors?
Oh, I love this question. I am a badass manifester because like I live with intention. Like I think for me it's all about living consciously and living with intention every single day, and like having like this relentless stubborn faith to not settle. That is just something within me that I've just it's just who I am. I cannot settle for all this goodness that the universe has to offer. Like I want it, I can have it all. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. So good. So good. Thank you for proclaiming that to us.
Yes.
Jenna.
Yeah, so I am going to identify as a badass manifester in training. So I'm claiming my badass manifestation skills. And I think what I'm practicing right now is something that we were talking about a little bit ago, learning to trust in the universe more and know that it has my highest good at heart, learning to trust myself more. And then for me, like believing in this sort of magic of manifesting, like the alchemy of it that I can't quite explain, but exists. And that's the hardest part for me. Like, the faith, I guess, like the fact that it's not, some science that I can read about or, get numbers on, like that I have to put trust and faith in something greater than myself and in myself and just believe in that sort of magical combination of factors. And, my training so far is very exciting and going well. And, I can't wait to continue that practice even more.
Yeah, cool. We're totally gonna work on that too. I'm gonna edit that out.
Ash, I have a question. I'm like so curious, like the podcaster in me is coming out now too, but I want to know what makes you a badass manifester.
Oh, thank you. I consider myself a badass manifester because I'm willing to do the work. So I'm willing to, go deep within myself to like look at the contrast of the reality of like, okay, like, the ups and the downs, right? And like appreciating all of it and seeing all of it as part of my creation, not just the good things, and not like being a victim of the bad things, but just I feel like what makes me a badass manifester is my willingness to do the work on myself, and also my faith, like in just putting all of my faith in the universe, in the basket of the universe.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Putting all my eggs in the basket of the universe.
Heck yes.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
You two have been up to some really, really amazing work. You have a brand called Eff Perfect, and you've created products that are finally launched. Like, I've been waiting for you guys to finally launch your products. So I just want you to tell everyone like what they are and what they're about, and just share it.
Yeah, I mean, we have been waiting too. We have been manifesting these products for almost a year now. And our intention behind making physical things in the world was to create little like talismans and physical representations of this message and mission that we're on. That people can wear and carry with them, and that can help us identify our fellow Eff Perfect fam members, like members of this community out in the world. So we created a bunch of ways to do that. So we've got some tees and tanks. We have an imperfectly perfect tank top that we made. We have a long sleeve t-shirt that's about seeking joy over worthiness. We have a edgy hoodie that reminds us to give the middle finger to perfection. And then we've got like a tote bag and some pins and buttons and just, things that we can put on our body, wear on our backs, carry with us that remind us that we're in this together. We're inherently worthy. We are beautiful, imperfectly perfect works in progress. And and we're doing it every day. So that's what we are so excited to be bringing into the world these days.
So good. I'm obsessed with your message, with your brand, with your branding. You guys should all check out their website. It's called effperfect.com, EFFPERFECT. And you can see like all their things.
Yeah, they're on the website. If you go to effperfect.com, you just click the shop button in the top right corner, or you can go directly to shop.effperfect.com, or you can find us on Instagram, where we're constantly hanging out at Eff Perfect.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I have my pins, my Eff Perfect pins, and I told you guys before, but I'm actually going to put some of these pins on my badass manifester hat.
Yes!
I know, that's so awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that'll be a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect combo.
Yeah.
Imperfect combo.
Imperfect. Yeah. And so it's so exciting because actually Eff Perfect and Badass Manifester will be doing a giveaway, which I'm so excited about. And it's going to be December 19th and 20th. So you'll see all the rules as it's launched on those dates, which, obviously follow both of our accounts to stay updated on like what you can win, because there's going to be really awesome giveaway products. And I will be on Middle Finger to Perfection podcast on December 17th. So we're doing all the collaborations because I am all about supporting spiritual entrepreneurs who are on their mission, making a difference and living their purpose. So I'm just so honored that you're here, that we're connected. And so before I let you guys go, I know that was just kind of like signing off, but I just want to keep you for one more second. I want you to just give us 3 tips for letting go of perfection this holiday season that our listeners can just run with.
Ooh, excellent question.
I know.
You can think about it for a second if you need to. I'll just
So I think one of my tips would be to remind yourself when you're in that moment of stress about like finding the perfect present, finding the perfect outfit to wear to the party, putting together the perfect dish, like just sucked into your to-do list, to remind yourself in that moment that whether or not you do these things, whether you do them, quote, perfectly, or whether you do them at all, is not the make or break of whether you're good enough. And it's not the make or break of, like we said before, of that relationship. It's not the make or break of this holiday. It's not the make or break of the party. Like, those aren't the stakes.
Yeah, I totally second that, Jenna. And like one thing that came to me was like more being and less doing. And like I feel like we see that and we hear that a lot, but like really think about what that means. Like when you go to these parties, like be in the conversations. Like when you're cooking those meals, like fucking cook the meals, you know? Like don't get caught up in all these stories and expectations. Like more being and less doing. And like just one little caveat I want to add to that too, because it's something I'm going to plug into my brain this holiday season, is like just be you. Like don't worry about showing up as like the polished, like perfect guest or host. Like just be you. Like be in love.
Yeah. Always choose connection over perfection.
Thank you so much for being on Badass Manifester podcast.
Thank you
so much, Ash.
Yeah, this has been a blast.
I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed that episode, that interview. It was so much fun working with them. And I just wanted to come on and say that there are still spots available in the Create Your Life on Purpose course. It is a course to help you connect to your calling so you can discover your purpose and create your life on purpose in alignment with that from the inside out. And if you're ready to get paid for living in your calling and why you're here, then this is a great program to get you started on that journey. We have an amazing group of women in the course. So if you're thinking about hopping in, just go to my website, click under courses, and enroll yourself. Thank you so much for listening to the Badass Manifester podcast. I love manifesting Mondays with you. And there's so much more in store right here. The best way to manifest love is to give love. If you loved what you heard today, subscribe to the Badass Manifester podcast. Leave a review on iTunes. Let me know how much you dig the energy here. All of my social is linked up in the show notes. So screenshot this episode, tag me on Instagram, and let me be part of your real-time journey. For more info on me, feel free to go to my website, manifestwithash.com. Repeat after me. I am my own power source. I am the master of my energy, and I deserve everything that I desire. Go get them.